Hello, I'm Imani Mulire with the AU SOC Tech Team. Today we're going over the Sony FS5. This is our film grade camera for the upper level classes for your narrative and documentary projects. Let's start off by saying what's in the bag. Of course you have the camera body with the attached lens. The lens comes with the lens hood and the lens cap. Also in the bag we have the camera batteries, the battery charger / AC adapter, the standalone AC adapter, a USB cable to transfer data, and an SD card to record. Once you have your camera and accessories mounted onto the tripod using both screws on the tripod plate, let's fire this thing up. You can use the AC adapter to power it or use one of the batteries that comes in the bag. Make sure the connections are all the way down on the battery when you insert it. Go to the rear of the camera and push it down until you hear it snap. Now let's pop a card in there too. The card slots are in the back of the camera as well. Open up the latch and insert your card into one of the two slots. And close the latch. Now that we have a battery and a card, let's turn the camera on. The power button is at the top. Go ahead and put that in the on position. Once the camera's on, it's time to view your image. You can use the attached viewfinder by sliding it out and turning it up at an appropriate angle for you to view. You can also use the eyepiece in the rear. To use the viewfinder or the eyepiece, go into the menu and change it whether you want to see it individually or both at the same time. If you're just getting started with the camera, you may want to check out full auto mode. The button is at the top. You'll hit full auto and the button will turn green. All your settings from focus to iris to shutter speed will automatically be set. Turn the full auto off by hitting the button again. Now that you're in manual mode, let's start with manual focus. You can use the focus ring at the head of the lens, and there's always the option to switch to autofocus on the side of the body. Now let's adjust the iris. You'll see a button that says ND or iris. Switch that to iris. Next to that is the iris wheel. You can roll that up and down to adjust the iris. And next to that is the option to do auto or manual iris. Now at the bottom of the camera, we have even more options. Down here, you can adjust your white balance. There's a button that says white balance. Press it once to go into auto mode. Press it again to go into manual mode. With the white balance in manual mode, you have three options. They're down here. You can do option B, option A, or you can do preset. Preset is determined in the menu, but options A and B can be determined by you. Go to the front of the camera, press and hold the white balance button when you have a nice white surface to balance against until you see the white balance come up on the screen. Next to white balance, we have the ISO/gain button. You'll press that to change from auto to manual mode. In the menu, you can select whether you want to change in ISO increments or gain increments. But once you do that, you'll be able to adjust them with the knobs below it. There are three modes for that. You adjust those modes in the menu and then toggle them on the fly depending on your lighting situation. Lastly, on the bottom, you can adjust your shutter speed. Just like the ones before, you press it once, it goes into auto mode. You press it again, it goes into manual mode. In manual mode, you can use the select wheel in the back to adjust your shutter. A really cool feature of this camera is the adjustment of the ND filter. You can manually adjust the ND filter in increments with the ND knob in the front. But if you like to do fine adjustments of the ND filter, that switch we talked about earlier that said ND and iris, switch it to ND. Also, switch the preset to variable and adjust the iris wheel, and that will slightly adjust your ND filter so that you don't have to adjust your iris, your gain, or your shutter to change the light levels. Okay, we've seen manual adjustment of the video. Now let's talk about audio. There's a built-in internal mic for you to get reference audio, but you can also plug in external audio sources. There are two inputs. Input number one is behind the handle grip and is an XLR. Input number two is by the shotgun mic mount, and that's also an XLR. You'll notice both of them have three options for line, mic, and phantom powered mic. Once you have your mic sources, you can use the mic controls to adjust them. There's auto gain for both channels 1 and 2. There's also manual selection and a volume knob if you want to adjust the levels on each channel. Video check, audio check, now it's time to record. There are a couple places you can do this. One is by the grip handle. There's a record button. There's another one on the top handle. And there's also a record button on the body itself. To go into playback mode, hit the thumbnail button on the side of the camera. Your clips will come up on the viewfinder. You can navigate through them with the select wheel and also with the directional controls on the grip handle. To remove the footage, you can simply remove the card and put it into a card reader. You can also attach a USB cable in the back of the card reader well to your computer to export the footage. If you're recording to an external recorder running through a switch or even live streaming, you can use the SDI out or the HDMI outs in the back. That was a brief overlook of the outside of the camera. Let's see what's going on the inside. Let's pop open the menu. Some things you can do in the menu are change the video format, whether you want to shoot in HD, 4K, or even in proxy mode, so you have some low-res files to edit alongside your larger files. Another important option is formatting your SD card. There are also some audio settings you can adjust in the menu as well. There's a toggle between using the viewfinder and using the eyepiece. And don't forget about your display options. You can choose to see a histogram, zebras, or other meters to help you get a better image. And that's the Sony FS5. Stop by the SOC Tech team in the cage to check out the camera and more things we have to offer at the School of Communications.